boy wakes in a forest. An old man offers a sword in a cave. A princess calls from a crystal prison. A moon falls from the sky. A kingdom drowns beneath waves. A champion awakens after a century of sleep. Across nearly 4 decades and countless iterations, one character has embodied the hero's journey more completely than perhaps any figure in gaming history. But what makes Link's journey archetypal isn't just repetition, it's evolution. Each generation of Zelda games doesn't simply retell the same story, it reimagines what it means to be a hero. The hero's journey, articulated by mythologist Joseph Campbell in his seminal work, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, describes a universal narrative pattern found across cultures and throughout history. The structure follows a protagonist who receives a call to adventure, crosses into an unknown world, faces trials and enemies, achieves transformation through ordeal, and returns home changed with knowledge or power to benefit their community. This monomyth appears in everything from ancient mythology to modern cinema. But in video games, where the player actively participates in the journey rather than passively observing it, the pattern achieves something remarkable. It becomes lived experience rather than witnessed narrative. The original Legend of Zelda, released in 1986 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, established the template with elegant simplicity. The game opens with text explaining that Ganon has stolen the Triforce of Power and kidnapped Princess Zelda, who has shattered the Triforce of Wisdom into 8 fragments hidden throughout Hyrule. This is the call to adventure in its purest form, a clear mission, an identifiable villain, and stakes that encompass an entire kingdom. Link begins with nothing, and in the very first screen, players can choose to enter a cave where an old man declares, "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this," offering a sword. This moment crystallizes the meeting with the mentor stage, a brief encounter that provides the tool necessary to begin the hero's transformation. The threshold crossing happens immediately as players venture into Hyrule proper, a hostile world filled with enemies, hidden secrets, and labyrinthine dungeons. The game's non-linear structure allows players to tackle many challenges in varying orders, but the fundamental journey remains consistent. Gather the 8 Triforce fragments, acquire the silver arrows, and confront Ganon in Death Mountain. Each dungeon represents a trial that tests courage, puzzle-solving ability, and combat prowess. The acquisition of items like the raft, ladder, and magic key expands Link's capabilities, embodying the gradual empowerment that defines heroic progression. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, released in 1987 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, experimented with side-scrolling gameplay and RPG elements, but maintained the journey's essential structure. Link must awaken a sleeping Princess Zelda by placing 6 crystals in palaces throughout Hyrule, ultimately confronting his own shadow in the Great Palace. This Shadow Link serves as a literal manifestation of the meeting with the shadow stage. The hero must confront and overcome aspects of himself to achieve transformation. The game's experience point system and magic spells represent measurable growth, making Link's progression tangible in ways the original game only implied. A Link to the Past, released for the Super Nintendo in 1991, elevated the hero's journey to operatic heights. The game opens with Princess Zelda telepathically calling to Link in a dream, summoning him to rescue her from Hyrule Castle's dungeon. This psychic connection introduces a destiny element. Link isn't stumbling into adventure, but answering a call that suggests deeper connection and purpose. The game's dual-world mechanic, where Hyrule exists alongside the corrupted Dark World, creates a literal journey between worlds. Link must navigate both realms, using the Mirror Shield to transition between them, embodying the hero who masters multiple planes of existence. The Master Sword's introduction in A Link to the Past carries profound symbolic weight. Link must acquire 3 virtue pendants, power, wisdom, and courage, before he can claim the blade from its pedestal in the Lost Woods. This multi-stage quest to prove worthiness mirrors the trials heroes face in classical mythology before receiving divine weapons. The sword itself isn't merely a powerful item, it's a symbol of Link's transformation from common boy to chosen hero, the moment where potential crystallizes into destiny.
The game's dungeon progression demonstrates carefully calibrated challenge escalation. Early dungeons like the Eastern Palace teach basic mechanics, defeating enemies, solving environmental puzzles, and navigating spatial layouts. By the time players reach late-game challenges like the Ice Palace or Turtle Rock, they're synthesizing multiple skills simultaneously, using items creatively and reading complex environmental cues.
Each boss defeated and crystal rescued represents an ally freed, the 7 maidens trapped by Aghanim who ultimately help Link access Ganon's tower. These allies don't fight alongside Link, but their liberation enables his final confrontation, fulfilling the allies and enemies stage through rescue rather than companionship. Link's Awakening, released for Game Boy in 1993, subverts the journey's traditional structure in fascinating ways. Link awakens shipwrecked on Koholint Island with no memory of how he arrived. The goal isn't to save a kingdom or rescue a princess, but to collect 8 instruments and wake the windfish, which will allow Link to leave the island. The twist, revealed late in the game, is that Koholint Island exists only within the windfish's dream, and awakening the deity means the island and all its inhabitants will cease to exist. This creates a hero's journey where return with the elixir becomes bittersweet and complex. Link achieves his goal and returns home, but the cost is the erasure of an entire world and the friends he made there. This narrative complexity introduced moral ambiguity into Link's journey. Previous games featured clear heroes and villains, obvious right and wrong. Link's Awakening asks whether awakening the windfish, effectively destroying Koholint Island, is heroic or tragic. The journey's completion brings melancholy rather than triumph, suggesting that heroism sometimes requires sacrifice that can't be simply categorized as good or evil. Ocarina of Time, released for Nintendo 64 in 1998, revolutionized the hero's journey by introducing explicit time travel and character development unprecedented in the series. The game divides into 2 distinct acts, Child Link's quest to collect 3 spiritual stones, and Adult Link's mission to awaken 5 sages and confront Ganondorf. The transition between these periods happens when Link draws the Master Sword, which seals him in the Sacred Realm for 7 years. This temporal displacement creates a unique ordeal. Link sacrifices his childhood and awakens to find Hyrule transformed by Ganondorf's tyranny. The world Link sought to protect no longer exists, replaced by a darker reality he inadvertently enabled. The game's companion character, Navi, serves multiple roles in the hero's journey framework. She functions as mentor, providing guidance and tactical information. She represents the supernatural aid that Campbell describes, a guide who appears at crucial moments to help the hero navigate challenges. But Navi also symbolizes Link's connection to the Kokiri Forest and his innocent past. When she departs at the game's conclusion, it signifies Link's permanent separation from childhood, a return home that reveals the hero can never truly go back. The relationship between Link and the 7 sages illustrates the meeting with the goddess archetype. Saria, Darunia, Ruto, Impa, Naboru, Rauru, and Zelda each awaken to their sacred duty and grant Link medallions that unlock access to Ganon's castle. These aren't simply power-ups, they represent communities and friendships that empower the hero. Darunia's awakening connects to Link's childhood interaction with the Gorons. Ruto's transformation relates to Link's rescue of her as a child. Each sage represents a past action bearing future fruit, demonstrating how heroic deeds create networks of support that enable ultimate victory. Ganondorf's transformation into the Beast Ganon for the final battle represents the supreme ordeal in physical form. This isn't merely a harder boss fight, it's the culmination of Link's journey from forest child to legendary hero. The battlefield, surrounded by a ring of fire with Princess Zelda and the 6 sages looking on, creates a mythic arena where the hero must prove his worthiness. Link's victory comes not through individual strength alone, but through the Master Sword, blessed by the sages, and the light arrows gifted by Zelda, tools that symbolize collective hope and divine mandate. Majora's Mask, released in 2000, presents perhaps the most psychologically complex hero's journey in the series.
Link arrives in the parallel world of Termina searching for a lost friend and gets transformed into a Deku scrub by the Skull Kid wearing Majora's Mask. The game's central mechanic, a 3-day cycle before the moon crashes into Termina, creates urgent repeating structure unlike anything in previous Zelda games. Link must repeatedly restart the cycle, retaining some progress while losing other gains, creating a Sisyphean loop where the hero's journey never truly completes until the final confrontation. The 4 transformation masks, Deku, Goron, Zora, and Fierce Deity, represent different aspects of Link's identity and different forms of heroism. The Deku form emphasizes agility and flight. The Goron form prioritizes strength and rolling power. The Zora form enables aquatic navigation in combat. Each represents a different approach to problem solving and different communities Link must help. The masks aren't simply alternate abilities, they're identities Link must inhabit, suggesting that heroism requires understanding and embodying multiple perspectives.
The game's side quests create depth in the ally and enemy phase unprecedented in the series. The Anju and Kafei quest, spanning all 3 days and requiring precise timing and item management, tells a complete love story. The Romani Ranch defense against alien abductions addresses themes of powerlessness and protection. These aren't peripheral content, they're integral to understanding Termina and why it deserves salvation. Link's heroism isn't just preventing the moon's fall, it's witnessing and alleviating countless smaller tragedies. The final confrontation with Majora's Mask subverts traditional boss battle structure. The entity doesn't monologue about domination or power, it wants to play. Majora's Wrath, the final form, moves with unsettling joy, treating Apocalypse as entertainment. This positions Link against something fundamentally alien, not evil in traditional sense, but chaotic and destructive. Victory brings relief rather than triumph. Termina is saved, but the experience has clearly marked Link, who rides away still searching for his lost companion, suggesting the journey continues beyond the game's boundaries. The Wind Waker, released for GameCube in 2003, reinvents Link as a child who must literally earn his hero status. This Link isn't the hero of time reincarnated. He's a boy from Outset Island who wears green on his birthday, following island tradition. When his sister gets kidnapped by a giant bird, he sets out to rescue her, beginning an adventure that reveals he must follow in the hero of time's footsteps. The game explicitly addresses the pressure of legacy. Can this ordinary boy become the hero Hyrule needs? The vast ocean of the Great Sea creates unique journey structure. Unlike previous games where dungeons were scattered across connected landmass, Wind Waker's islands are separated by vast water expanses requiring sailing. This creates a rhythm of exploration and discovery, spotting an island on the horizon, adjusting wind direction with the Wind Waker, sailing toward it, and investigating what secrets it holds. The journey becomes literal voyage, with Link as sailor hero navigating uncharted waters. The revelation that the Great Sea conceals Hyrule, flooded and frozen in time beneath the waves, recontextualizes the entire journey. Link isn't just saving the surface world, he's deciding the fate of the ancient kingdom. The King of Red Lions, revealed to be the King of Hyrule, explicitly tells Link that the old kingdom must remain submerged, that clinging to the past prevents building the future. This transforms Link's victory from restoration to renewal. The hero doesn't return Hyrule to former glory, but enables new civilization to flourish. The Triforce quest, where Link must collect 8 Triforce shards scattered across the ocean, represents an extended trial phase that tests persistence and thoroughness. Each shard requires deciphering charts, locating specific coordinates, and retrieving the fragment from the ocean floor. This extended sequence before accessing Ganon's tower ensures players have thoroughly explored the Great Sea, making the final confrontation feel earned through comprehensive engagement with the world. Twilight Princess, released for GameCube and Wii in 2006, presents Link as ranch hand thrust into heroic role when his village gets attacked and children are kidnapped.
The Twilight Realm, which transforms Link into a wolf, creates dual identity literally. Link must navigate both human and wolf forms, using different abilities in each. Midna, the imp companion, initially treats Link with contempt, using him for her own purposes. Their relationship develops from manipulation to genuine partnership, demonstrating how allies in the hero's journey aren't always immediately supportive. The wolf transformation carries symbolic weight beyond gameplay mechanics. Wolves represent wildness, instinct, and primal nature. Link's time as wolf forces him to navigate Hyrule from literal different perspective, lower to the ground, reliant on senses beyond sight, vulnerable in ways his human form isn't. The transformation represents descent into primal self, necessary before achieving full heroic potential. Link must accept and integrate this shadow aspect before becoming complete hero. The game's dungeons return to traditional Zelda structure while expanding scale and complexity. The Temple of Time, appearing decades after Ocarina of Time's events, contains massive gears and statues moved by Dominion Rod. The City in the Sky introduces double clawshot mechanics, enabling aerial navigation through Cloud Palace. Each dungeon represents mastery of a specific tool and spatial reasoning, maintaining the trial phase's emphasis on graduated challenge. Skyward Sword, released for Wii in 2011, serves as series' origin story, depicting the first Link and the creation of the Master Sword. The game explicitly frames Link's journey as forging. He must find sacred flames to upgrade his goddess sword into the legendary blade. This process requires completing dungeons, gathering sacred objects, and proving worthiness through trial. The Master Sword's creation becomes metaphor for Link's own transformation from Skyloft Knight student to legendary hero.
The relationship between Link and Zelda receives unprecedented focus. They're childhood friends, their bond established before adventure begins. When Zelda gets pulled to the surface world and must fulfill her role as the goddess Hylia reborn, Link's quest becomes personal in ways previous games only implied. The journey isn't abstract duty, it's desperate attempt to save someone beloved. This emotional grounding gives every trial and ordeal direct stakes beyond saving abstract kingdom. Demise, the game's antagonist, explicitly establishes the cycle of reincarnation that explains the series' recurring characters and conflicts. In his dying words, Demise curses Link and Zelda's bloodlines to eternal conflict, ensuring his hatred will pursue them across time. This transforms Link's heroism from isolated event into eternal duty. The hero's journey never ends because evil perpetually returns, requiring new heroes to rise. Breath of the Wild, released for Nintendo Switch in 2017, deconstructs the hero's journey formula the series spent decades perfecting. Link awakens with amnesia after a century of sleep, having failed in his previous attempt to stop Calamity Ganon. The game opens with Link standing at the edge of the Great Plateau, able to see Hyrule Castle in the distance where Ganon waits. Players can, theoretically, head directly there and confront the final boss immediately. This inverts traditional structure. Link starts at the return phase already possessing legendary sword and hero status, but lacking the memories and strength to fulfill his role. The game fragments the hero's journey into player-driven sequence. There's no mandatory dungeon order, no requirement to awaken all 4 divine beasts, no prescribed path through Hyrule. The shrines scattered across the landscape represent modular trials, each compact challenge that rewards spirit orbs exchangeable for health or stamina. This structure reflects modern gaming's emphasis on player agency. The journey's shape depends on individual choices rather than developer mandate. The fragmented memories Link recovers through photographs create non-linear narrative. Players piece together Link's past relationship with Zelda, his selection as her appointed knight, and the catastrophe that destroyed Hyrule a century earlier. This reverses typical hero's journey structure. Instead of moving forward through stages, Link moves backward through memory, reconstructing the hero he was before becoming the hero he must be again. The champions, Mipha, Daruk, Rivali, and Urbosa, serve as allies whose support comes posthumously.
These warriors died controlling their divine beasts during Calamity Ganon's attack. Link's quest to free their spirits from Ganon's corruption create poignant version of the ally phase. These friendships can't be renewed in present, only honored through memory and liberation. Their gifts of protection powers represent past bonds empowering present action. Tears of the Kingdom, released in 2023, continues Link's journey in ways that reframe what Return with the Elixir means. Rather than leaving Hyrule saved and moving to new adventure, Link remains as guardian in a world that still faces threats. The game's opening sees Hyrule Castle rising into the sky and new chasms opening into depths below, expanding the world vertically and introducing Zonai ruins and technology. The Sky Islands echo Skyward Sword's setting, but serve different purpose. These aren't origin, they're remnants of ancient civilization whose technology Link must master. The construction mechanics, allowing players to fuse objects and create vehicles, positions Link as creator hero rather than purely warrior. The journey becomes building and problem-solving as much as combat and exploration. The depths beneath Hyrule create literal underworld journey. These caverns, dark and filled with gloom that limits Link's health, require illumination through bright bloom seeds and represent psychic descent. The pose and cursed statues inhabiting the depths create an atmosphere of exploring a forbidden realm. Discovering light routes that mirror surface shrines create a navigation system that rewards thorough exploration of both light and dark realms. Zelda's transformation into the Light Dragon represents sacrifice that drives Link's quest. To send the Master Sword forward through time for Link to wield, she becomes an immortal dragon, giving up her humanity. This reverses typical damsel narrative. Zelda isn't passively waiting for rescue, but actively enabling Link's victory through her own heroic sacrifice. Link's journey becomes honoring that sacrifice by defeating Ganondorf and ultimately bringing Zelda back from her draconic transformation. The final confrontation with Ganondorf mirrors Ocarina of Time's climactic battle, the Demon King wielding dark power, transforming into bestial form and requiring everything Link has learned to defeat. But the stakes feel different. This isn't first victory, but latest in an eternal cycle. Link isn't becoming a hero for the first time, but reaffirming heroism as an ongoing choice.
The journey doesn't end with Ganondorf's defeat because new threats will emerge, new challenges will arise, and Link will answer the call again. What makes Link's hero's journey resonate across generations isn't mechanical consistency or narrative predictability. It's how each iteration explores different aspects of what heroism means. The original Link embodied pure courage and determination. Ocarina of Time's Link grappled with sacrifice and lost childhood. Majora's Mask's Link confronted futility and persistence. Wind Waker's Link proved ordinary people can become extraordinary. Twilight Princess's Link integrated shadow self. Skyward Sword's Link demonstrated love as heroic motivation. Breath of the Wild's Link rebuilt himself after failure. Tears of the Kingdom's Link embraced ongoing guardianship. The silent protagonist divine allows players to project themselves onto Link. He doesn't speak in cutscenes, doesn't express opinions on events, remains blank canvas for player interpretation. This silence isn't limitation, it's invitation. The hero's journey becomes personal because players fill the gaps with their own emotions, motivations, and meanings. Link's courage is player courage. Link's determination is player determination. Link's victories are player victories. The recurring elements, the Master Sword, the Triforce, Ganon's menace, Zelda's wisdom, the green tunic, create through-line across iterations. But these symbols gain meaning through variation. The Master Sword isn't always the ultimate weapon. Sometimes it must be forged, sometimes reforged, sometimes reclaimed. The Triforce isn't always the goal. Sometimes it's already divided. Sometimes it must be assembled. Sometimes it's curse as much as blessing. These variations prevent stagnation while maintaining thematic coherence. The hero's journey persists in Zelda because it mirrors human experience. Everyone faces calls to adventure, opportunities requiring courage to pursue. Everyone encounters mentors who provide guidance at crucial moments. Everyone faces trials that test abilities and resolve. Everyone experiences ordeals that fundamentally change them. Everyone returns from transformative experiences with knowledge or wisdom to share. The journey isn't abstract narrative structure, it's life pattern made tangible through interactive medium. Link's journey will continue because the cycle is eternal, not just in Demise's curse or the lore's reincarnation patterns, but in gaming's ongoing evolution. Future Zelda games will reinterpret what it means to be a hero, what challenges test heroism, what rewards justify the journey. Link will wield new tools, explore new realms, face new villains, and embody new virtues. But the core pattern will persist. Ordinary individual receiving extraordinary call, venturing into unknown, facing trials, achieving transformation, and returning changed to benefit their world. The hero's journey defined Zelda's generations not by restricting creativity, but by providing a framework for infinite variation. Each Link is different but essential. Each journey is unique but recognizable. Each victory is hard-won but inevitable. And each time players pick up the controller, don a green tunic, and take sword in hand, they don't just play through a hero's journey, they live it.